The city of Uluba rose from the horizon like a promise carved in glass and steel. From the distance of the coastal bus stop, it shimmered, a place where dreams walked upright in expensive suits, and ambition smelled like roasted street food and car exhaust. Nia pressed her forehead to the window of the long-haul bus and tried to believe she belonged to that shining vision. Back in her fishing town of Murani, everyone had spoken of Uluba with hushed reverence.
If you can survive there, you'll never know hunger again,
her uncle had told her. Others warned, the city eats people, don't go alone. But for Nia, Uluba was not an option, it was the only way forward. Her intelligence, the hunger in her spirit, the quiet restlessness she carried in her bones, none of it had space in Murani, where days were measured by tides and nights by the hum of crickets. When the bus finally groaned into Uluba's central terminal, the sound was overwhelming. Cars snarled like animals fighting for space. Voices layered over each other, shouting vendors, preachers claiming the end was near, children demanding coins for carrying luggage. The air was heavy with frying oil, sweat, perfume too strong for the heat, and the metallic tang of construction dust. Nia clutched her small suitcase against her chest. In Murani, the ocean had been her constant backdrop. In Uluba, it was replaced by a storm of noise that never paused to breathe. She had one address written on a crumpled piece of paper, a cousin's apartment in the district of Zambara. She would sleep on the floor until she found her footing. The bus terminal was far from Zambara, and taxis were lined up like vultures, their drivers shouting promises of the cheapest ride, the fastest route. She remembered the advice of a woman she'd met on the bus, don't trust the first voice that speaks to you in Uluba. Wait, observe, and then move. So Nia walked. Past streets buzzing with neon advertisements for banks she could not afford to open an account in. Past glossy billboards showing women with flawless skin holding bottled water she knew cost more than her week's food budget. Past office workers who moved quickly, never glancing at her, as if their lives were too urgent to acknowledge another human being. Her cousin, Walila, lived in a cramped building where the staircases were narrow, and neighbors knew each other only by the sounds of their lives, the crying baby in room 6, the constant music in room 9, the arguments in room 12. Alila welcomed her with a tired hug, a mat on the floor, and a warning,
this city will not wait for you, Nia. Either you learn to run with it or it will leave you behind.
That night, as Nia lay awake listening to the hum of electricity and the endless traffic outside, she promised herself she would run faster than the city itself. The days that followed were a blur. Uluba was a machine, and she had to learn its rhythm. Job hunting began at dawn, queues outside offices where desperate graduates held folders like shields. Interviews where she was asked not about her abilities but about who she knew, what favors she could trade, how long she could work without pay, for experience. She walked home each evening with blistered feet and a heart that was equal parts hope and exhaustion. The city had a way of seducing even in its cruelty. On the streets, she saw women her age in polished heels, men in sharp suits stepping out of cars that purred like wildcats. Nia told herself, one day, that will be me. Her first job was unpaid. An internship at a small tech firm hidden on the 4th floor of a building that smelled of mold and ambition. She learned quickly that the firm survived not on innovation but on exploiting interns like her, brilliant, desperate, and willing to work until midnight for the promise of something better. The managers smiled too easily, praised too freely, and always said, your time is coming. But Nia's hunger was stronger than her doubts. She stayed late, teaching herself coding languages from online forums, building projects no one asked for. She wanted the city to notice her, to whisper her name in the same breath as success. One evening, walking back through Zambara after another long day, Nia saw something that stayed with her. A woman, no older than herself, sitting on the curb in a suit that had once been expensive but was now dirty and torn. Her shoes were gone, her hair matted, her eyes vacant as though they had been emptied of dreams. People walked past her without pause, as if she were invisible. Nia wanted to ask who she was, what had broken her, but fear gripped her. She hurried past, clutching her bag, whispering to herself, "That will never be me. Never." But deep inside, she knew the city did not make promises lightly. Uluba offered everything: glittering towers, the chance to rise, the thrill of being someone, but it never taught you how not to become the woman on the curb. And in the silence of her cousin's apartment, Nia finally understood: the city always smiles at newcomers, but its teeth are sharp.